And good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the SAMEE page for another SAMEE Whiz session. We are here with Martin Brown, who I'm going to introduce in a moment, for another SAMEE Whiz session, kind of carrying on from last week's theme around marketing in the digital world, but taking it a slightly different way. To introduce you to some more and add value and introduce you to Martin and what he does as well. So it's great to be here. The charity is going really well and everything's growing, and we're getting more and more requests for these live sessions, and we're reaching between 100 and 200 people as an audience that are watching it live and then afterwards as well. So if you're not watching this live and you've got a question from what we ask, feel free to send it in, or you will see Martin's contact details on there as well. So I'm going to introduce Martin. Martin, thank you ever so much for joining us today and giving up your time. I always say time is the most valuable commodity. So anyone that shares it with us, it's quite precious. So thank you very much. I'm going to hand over to you and let yourself introduce yourself and what you do, and just give them a little bit of background to you and your story, if you would, please, Martin.
Yeah, well, thank you, first of all, for inviting me along. I really do appreciate that. And it's good to be live, because I'm not live as often as I should be online. So here we are, live and happening. I'm Martin Brown from Marketing Bugle. I started way back in the 1990s. I was working a daytime job. Remember those? And it was a day, it was a day on, day off thing where I worked 8 o'clock in the morning till 10 at night one day, got the next day off. But I thought, rather than putting the washing out and putting the vacuum cleaner around, why can't I do something on the day off where I'm actually going to make it so that I can actually benefit from it and help others and make it far more interesting than it is currently. And so I joined a magazine where I could contribute to those who work from home. So there were all sorts of schemes and scams going around back in those days, and we picked the best of them, the most legal, if you like, and we would write about them, invite them along, and they would pay us money, and we would give them a service or a product or something along those lines, normally how to make money working from home. That went very well for a number of years, but then I went to make my own magazine for my local community with Community Times. Actually won an award, so I was thrown to bits with that. But it was a 48-page glossy magazine, A5 size, and I wrote the whole thing myself, complete blank sheet at the beginning of the month. And I was made redundant when the daytime business was taken over, so I thought, what can I do? So I went around trying to get a job, couldn't find one. So I thought, I know, I'll go back into community magazines. And I started up my own community magazine again for the Poole and Bournemouth area. Did about 7,000 copies a month. And guess what? I introduced internet marketing or online marketing. And slowly but surely that took over. I lost over the years about 85% of advertisers, but those that were online and had a QR code, do you remember those things that you could scan with your phone and it took you online? All those advertisers that had something online where they could take their name and their email and give them a voucher for a coupon or whatever for their business or anything like that, they were doing all right. So eventually I took the magazine online, and then after that, the whole business went online. I forgot about the magazine. I just thought, let's just get offline businesses online. And all those years ago, from the late 90s right up to date, I invented Marketing Bugle, pinching the bugle from an American magazine that was the biggest selling thing ever or something in all times. Right, marketing, because I needed a keyword in there. That's what I do. And bugle, the bugle calls out to everybody. So Marketing Bugle, and it's stuck.
That's brilliant.
How it happened.
Excellent. So that's really good, and thank you for that introduction. And it's quite interesting to hear how kind of one thing led to another, which all too often it does kind of happen like that way, doesn't it? That you kind of will get this idea and then it takes legs and it just tends to grow, which I think this is what we've had with charity. You kind of have one idea and then all of a sudden it feeds into the next and feeds into the next. So, and hearing how you came about the name as well, because that's, you know, so often we interview people with these, and that's the one thing we don't really get to hear is, well, how did the name come about? How did you think of the name? And sometimes it's straightforward. It is like their name, but sometimes it's not like yourselves. It's Marketing Bugle. So to hear where that name came from and what the thought was great. So,
and of course, when you type Marketing Bugle online, because there's no other Marketing Bugle, I take over the first few pages. So,
which is always good. So that's the way to do search engine optimization. Then have a name that no one else uses, and it comes to the top. I like that idea. Okay, so if anyone has got any questions they want to ask as we go through, if it prompts any questions, you can comment in the section box today, or you can drop through some emails either to sam@samee.co.uk, or you can either drop through an email to ricky@samee.co.uk, and we will pick them up and add them. But in the comment box is obviously the easiest way, and then do share what your biggest takeaway is and let us know that you're also getting some value from today as well. So I think let's jump into things then, and let's have a look. Before I do though, let's obviously put some contact details up for yourself. So we've got your website, Martin, as www.marketingbugle.co.uk. And if anyone wants to drop you through an email about what we've talked about today, martin@marketingbugle.co.uk. And you'll go back to them as soon as you can.
I will.
Excellent. I always say that like it's obvious, but you never know. I'm waiting for the day when someone goes, well, no, actually, I tend to leave it. They probably have, but we'll keep going. So I think let's open up with the first one. And the first question I put to you, you know, when you first started your business, what would you say was your biggest challenge for you, and how did you overcome this?
Well, I've got to start from where I had my own community magazine, because selling advertising was what it was all about. The magazine couldn't exist without the advertisers. And my biggest problem was that I hated talking on the phone. I was so nervous. The phone was so heavy. And I thought, no, perhaps they'll say this, perhaps they'll say that. Oh, perhaps they won't do it. And it took me a long time to be able to become comfortable on the phone. And the reason was, I think I was doing it wrong. I was trying to sell the ad on the phone, and I shouldn't have been. I should have been trying to sell the meeting that we were going to have to discuss what was going to happen about the advertising. So as soon as I changed from trying to sell my product and service to selling just the meeting, that's when I started to get more comfortable, because people were happier to talk about a meeting. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, we'll meet for coffee wherever, and then we'll discuss it. Because as soon as you start talking about the business, they start asking questions and they make a decision based on what you've just said, rather than knowing the bigger picture. So that was one of my, talking on the phone was the hardest thing. Asking for the sale was the other. Once I got there, I would talk to them, and when I came out, I thought, well, they haven't had an ad, but they know all about me. But I thought, hang on, did I actually ask them for the sale?
Yeah.
How many ads would you like to be in? Where would you like to start? Did you want a budget ad? Did you want a premium? I didn't do that. I was just telling them all about what I did, me, and forgetting about them. So the other thing was asking for the sale. And so I did bring it into my sales talk. Not that it was sales talk, because it did come rather naturally. But once I introduced how many months would you like to be in for, and something like that, they almost felt they had to come in then, because I'd done all this work of come to meet them and explain it all to them. And the final thing was charging what the service was truly worth. I was discounting ads left, right, and center. The biggest mistake ever. You cannot run a business if you try and keep up with Joe down the road. People used to say to me, you're charging me £45 for this ad. It's only 35 down the road with the other mag. So what's the difference? Now, what I started doing, instead of saying, oh, okay, I'll come down in price, I started to say things like, well, okay, you can have it for 35, but you don't get the internet ad, because I used to run a huge website with ads displayed on them. I always took something of value away. Otherwise, if I just discounted it, they would say to me, well, why didn't you charge £35 in the first place? What's this £45? So charging what the service was truly worth was dead important. And then later on, when I started building websites, instead of discounting, I actually said to somebody just to get the sale, oh, you want the website for £250? I'll do that. What I could have said is it's 750, it's £1,000, it's 1,500, whatever, and stick to it. And the day I had the very first, I met somebody at SAMEE. SAMEE used to run a little workshop things, and I met somebody there who taught me how to charge what I was truly worth. And so I went into a pub and I said to the landlord after a chat, it's £750 for the website. He said, what? I said, £750. I'm sticking to my guns. And he said, it can't be any good for that cheap price. I thought, oh, I should have made much higher. And from then on, I charged what they were worth and the work that went into it and what they were going to get out of it. So those are the main things that were really difficult for me and challenging to start with. But I did break through, and it does make a difference, because if you come across as desperate to get the sale, you won't get the sale. That's all there is to it.
Yeah. And I think the important thing, there was lots that I took from there, and I'm sure everyone else has as well. But the one thing that I took, with the several things I took from there, one was about asking for the sale. You know, we've all done that, where we walk away and we go, well, I've told them everything. And you think, I didn't actually ask if they wanted to get started. You know, it's like, and I remember a training once where they talked about 85%, I think it is, of sales fail because the salesperson hasn't asked for the business. And you just go, that's quite a large figure. So it does make you think, okay, I really do need to ask. So when do you want to get started with this? But yeah, it was definitely that. And you're absolutely right. I think knowing what your true worth is a hard thing, because I think we're all guilty of that. We all put our own perceptions onto it and go, is it going to be worth this? What are people going to think? You know, so really working out actually what is this worth, rather than, you know, doing a discount all the time.
What are they going to get out of it? If somebody's buying from you and they're going to make a lot of money out of what you're supplying, don't charge £45. Charge £1,045. Really bump up the price. And once you've got a couple of sales under your belt, you don't go back. You target the audience that can afford your services.
Yeah. And another thing I think is also quite true is that actually, if someone really sees the value in something and really wants it, they'll find the money for it. You know, things I've done in the past, and we've had conversations about it, and I've said, oh, you know, so that'll be £245. And they go, oh, I don't really know if I've got the money today. You know, I don't really know if I can afford it. And then you ask the question, okay, so just quickly, if your TV broke tonight, what would you do? Why, I'd go and get a new one. How much would it cost you? Oh, it cost me about 200 quid. Where would you find that money from? Oh, I'd find it. And it's because it's valuable enough that they go, yeah, I really need this. So absolutely. Target audience and fine. Liz has said that she's making notes, so that's good. So we've got some value. The team are on as well. So they're saying hi all. Lorraine is on and says good morning. And Liz has also said hi. So Liz, Lorraine has just said it's reassuring to know that other people find it a challenge asking for the sale and the price. I don't know, what would you say, Martin? I always say that actually, when you get used to it and you do it a few times, you get comfortable with it, and it almost becomes a habit to ask.
It's your mindset. It's getting it into your head. What I used to do is get negative thoughts, and I pre-assessed it incorrectly. So you've got to reframe what you're going into, so that the whole perception of it is just value. And when I got these negative thoughts in my head, I did a strange thing, but it works. I laid down on the floor on my bed, and imagine there was somebody was cutting a cake out of my head in that rectangle section, and that was the negative. They removed the negative, and then I thought of something that always makes me happy and joyous, and that would replace it. Because what I constantly do is tell negatives to go away. But unless you replace that with a positive, it doesn't work. You must put a positive in its place. And then when you go into deal what you're having a challenge with, it really works because your mindset's changed and you're going in and the potential client is down there and you're up here and you feel in control. And if you're confident, you're in control, and you sound like you know what you're talking about, they will listen to you. You become the go-to person. You become the authority on the subject. And yes, once you've done it twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, you don't look back, because then you know who the time wasters are, the tire kickers and the rest of it. And you say, okay, you're just looking to come down on price, and I'm not doing that. When I talk to them, I put their negatives, any objections, into my sales talk, so that I've already explained to them. So when it comes to asking for the price, they can see that it's well worth it, it's good value for money. And that's what I do with everybody. I give them value for money. I never try and just make a fast buck. You won't survive. Yeah.
And actually, Liz has also said that, on price, you can always come down, not so easy to go up in price. So, she's quite right as well, that actually, if you suddenly go, okay, I'm losing a lot of sales, maybe I'm a little bit too expensive, you can do your research and you can always drop it slightly if you need to. But I think important what you said there, Martin, is about holding your nerve a little bit, isn't it? And it's just, sticking to your guns.
If someone says, look, £250 is too expensive, say, I tell you what, we'll keep it at £250, but I'll give you a website, a basic website to go with it. Ooh, and after your conversation, you know what their turn-on points are. And so you can home in on those and say, you keep telling me that you can't work your blog. I'll train you up on a blog that's all drag and drop or something like that, in with the price. Add value, don't discount, because once you discount, you devalue what you're selling. And that is a no.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like that idea of adding the value in and picking different things that will work for them, definitely. So I think, coming on to our second question then, when thinking about promoting their business and the work they do, how should people plan, and what do they need to think about where you come from?
Well, I can only at this stage talk about online. So I would say that the first thing you must do is have your own domain name. People go for these free websites, but unfortunately, I've never ranked a free website in my life. I can only rank something if it's their own domain name. And on the website, have a sign-up form so that you can take the name and the email address of the visitor and you give them something for it. It could be some sort of download. It used to be ebooks all the time, but now you can give them guides, you can give them blueprints, you can give them videos and audio. I know so many people doing so well with this. And what it does, it builds a list on your email marketing system of potential customers, and that's who you sell to. You send out regular emails in a sequence to them that are all predetermined, so it's on autopilot. If you go on holiday, it still works for you. But what you're doing, you're nudging them to go for the purchase, to buy from you. You must build a relationship with your potential customer. If you don't, they won't buy from you. When you do, the relationship builds to a trust, and people only buy from people that they trust. And so somebody else could come along and say, oh, I'm doing what Martin's doing, but cheaper. They'll say, no, I get an email from him regularly. He phones me. He's on live calls with me. I've known him so I'm going to buy from him. He's my go-to person. And also, you don't get emails written on your cards, business cards, like at Hotmail, at Yahoo, at Gmail. It looks bad when you see Martin143_26 at hotmail.com written on the side of a van. I've seen it. If you have sales at marketingbugle.com or .co.uk, I've got hundreds of them, then it looks so much more professional. And in the long run, that will help your business, because there's nothing worse than building a portal or an empire, some people, on freebie stuff, and then you need to move it when the business does take off, and it will if you're doing it right, of course. And we are doing it right, aren't we? Yes. Yeah. All these schools are about. Then it'll all work for you. And what I'm finding is that with the freebies, that the SEO, the Google looks at it and says, if you're serious about your business, you'll have your own domain name. And when they see Wix and Weebly and all that sort of thing, you can't rank them. So it's only £10 a year. In fact, it's a lot less than £10 a year for a .co.uk domain name. And it's cheap as chips to have your own hosting. And websites now are all drag and drop to build. I can teach somebody in 15 minutes how to build a website. It's that easy nowadays. Used to be all HTML code. So those are the things I would say with your business, getting started and going online. Get those things in place. You must build a list. And the final thing is have continuity payments. Have something you can charge them a regular fee for. Otherwise, you can't survive. There's too much month at the end of the money. If you just charge, so it's 50 quid for that, there's no. So what you do, people come to your website, they're interested in what you're doing. You need to capture their name and their email. And you do that by offering them this freebie download. As soon as they do that, they join your email list, and then you can then work with them for free without paying for any ads. And I've got pubs on board where I send one email out and they sell out a whole evening. That's how powerful email is, and it's free.
Yeah. It's free. Yeah, and it's brilliant. And I think, capturing that data, because if they come into your website anyway, then you might as well have that as a working tool for you. If you've already attracted that person through any advertising or promotion, then to be able to capture that and send it back out, you won't need to, like you say, you've got this email list then, and you've got a working. So that's really good. That's really good, definitely.
It frightens me to death when people say, I don't need a website because I've got a Facebook page. Well, Facebook can change their algorithm at any time, and they have done. When you sent out a post, it used to reach 100%. So if 100 people signed up as following you or liking you, 100 people would see on their timeline your post. Now it's less than 6%. Less than 6 people see your post when it goes up because they've changed the algorithm. Now you've got to pay to get the reach. And so that's why it's important to have your own website where you are in control and nobody can touch that list of names you've got on your database.
Yeah, no, definitely good. And I think you're absolutely right with social media and stuff being in control. They're more, and I always advocate, it's a good way to, social media is there. There are a lot of people on there. So it is a good way to build some contacts and have some social marketing that doesn't cost you anything, because you can do it for free. But like you say, with the website, you've got that 100% control over it. So definitely the way forward if someone's serious about their business, I think. So in terms of considering websites, then, if we've sort of touched on having their own website, what is the 2 most important things that people need to think about?
Right. The first thing people say to me is that they want to have all the bells and whistles, look beautiful and what have you. So they go out and they put all their budget pretty well on a web designer, which is fine. If you're a web designer, that's your job and you're happy with that. But what I find is web designers want it to look good, and it does look good, but does it convert? When somebody lands on the page, do they turn into potential customers? You'll find they don't, because when I build my websites, every one I've built is pretty simple. You look at the Amazon website, that is not complicated at all. In fact, it looks like a 4-year-old's built it. It's so basic. And yet it works because they've got the elements on there that create the sell. So you enter what you want, there it is. And the only extra thing they've got is you might also be interested in, because you put something in, there's something else down there similar, and you think, oh yeah, I'll buy that as well. So when you have your website, have the elements on it and the modules on it that will convert. So right at the top, I have my headline, sub-headline, a video or an image, and a sign-up form, because you can offer them the one thing that they're going to be excited about. What would make them really buzz about joining your email list? They're not going to do it for free. They're not going to say, okay, here's my name and email. I've joined your newsletter. Now they say, what's in it for me? What's in it for you? Get this free download. So you must make your website have a purpose. So do you want it to be a information portal? Are you selling something? Do you want to take their name and email? There must be a purpose for it. And so once you achieve that with the website, that's all you need. You don't need where the cursor goes up to the menu and butterflies fly around it and drawers open and a slider goes across. Those sliders just do not convert into sales. None of the most successful people in the world ever use sliders, because the slider comes along and you go to click on it and it slides away. You think, how do I get that back? It's gone. They're not going to wait for what they want to come up. Don't have a slider, and they slow your website down considerably. So have a website that converts, not that looks nice. Yes, my websites do look good, but they're not all the bells and whistles that some of these estate agents have, where it does 101 jobs. And the first thing you do is say, there's so much here to do, I'm not going to make any decision because I don't know what to do. And they'll go away. And that's by the time it's finished loading.
Yeah. So yeah, keep it simple, definitely. And I think there's something to be said for the keep it simple. You know, we like things simple. And I remember someone said once, you know, when you're marketing out to people, when you're talking about something, have 3 main points and stick to them, because actually with the 3, they won't remember much more after the 3 points anyway. So it's like, have the 3 main points you want to get across, and then just, you know, stop at that point. But yeah, Lorraine's just saying that as a customer, she likes these days that you don't have to tell a company your life story to engage with them. I think that's quite a good. How much, when you're capturing information from people, you obviously want the name and the email address. Is there anything else that you kind of want to know, 1 or 2 things that you think maybe kind of adds to it, or is it just simply start with the name and the email address?
Right. I always start with not even the name, first name. I say first name and email, because the more you ask them for, the lower your conversion rate. So what I do, I advertise on Facebook. I send hordes of traffic to a proven landing page, and it converts. Now, they won't sign up if I ask for them, let's say, what's your telephone number, where do you live, what did you have for breakfast, how often do you brush your teeth. If you start going deeper and deeper into these things, I'm not filling out that. So I just ask for those 2 things. Once they're on your list, that's a different story, because then you can approach them. They'll get to know you, like your emails, because they haven't unsubscribed yet. They very rarely unsubscribe unless you really upset them. You can get to know them, and then you can ask them for more. You can send them to a page that asks them for more. You can send them to a survey or a quiz or something of fun interaction. And I've got all that on board. And that's why people love being on the list, because there's always something happening. And a 30-day challenge or something, you know, anything. And once you've got them involved, those that are going to be buyers, when they're ready to buy, they'll buy from you. And most people that buy from you will buy again. That's another thing that I should have mentioned earlier. Don't just have one product, have follow-up products that where you can build on what you're doing. So if I do a website, I'll say, would you like the care plan that goes with it for maintenance and updates and security patches? And yes, they do. And so I can charge for that. They'll always come back for more. But if they come back and say, what else do you do? Nothing. It's not very good. And you're not making any profit. So you need a continuity plan where you can sell something and then have some plan in place where they're paying you each month or each year even, because you could be doing an online course where you say, right, okay, pay for an online course. And then I'll introduce you to another online course before this one's finished and give you a discount on it and things like that. So you've always got an income, so you can plan ahead. Otherwise, your business dries up and you're constantly looking for new people, and that can be really demoralizing.
Yeah, I think it's a lot harder to build a new relationship than to maintain an existing relationship, isn't it? You know, and existing relationships, the longer they go on and the more you maintain them, actually, they'll introduce you to new people as well, because they go, well, I work with this guy, you know, he's really great, or I work with this girl.
Always ask for the recommendation.
Yeah, absolutely. And I like the way you were saying about the having additional products to sell. You know, one thing I've always talked about is time leverage. When you're working with a customer, if you have additional things to sell, you have a customer buying 2 or 3 products, it saves you getting an extra 2 customers, and you can only spend the same time with 1 customer. So instead of having 3 hours, you've got 1 hour and you've leveraged your time. So yeah, no, brilliant. And I think just coming on to, because we talked about, like, people paying for things, and I think people value things when they pay for things. When it's free, you don't necessarily have a value to it. But obviously, a lot of people that are working with us at the start, their budgets are quite low, and they have kind of little or no budget in terms of gaining exposure. So what would be your suggestion to them about being able to gain exposure on the smallest budget possible?
Right. Well, nowadays it's harder to, when we're talking online, to get the organic customer. That's the one that naturally types into Google something, a phrase about your business, and then they're taken to your website, and that's how you get a customer. I used to be able to put a notice on the website about downloading a form, filling it out, putting a check in with it, and sending it off to me, and then I'd send you whatever I was selling. And people would do that. They don't now, and they never will now. It's a case of it has to be instant. So to build your list in the first place, this is where social media is a bit of a goldmine, because your potential customer, whether you like social media or not, I don't particularly like Facebook, but because my customers are on there, I use it as a database for my advertising. That's valuable. So your customers are likely to be on there. They're not there to buy. They don't join Facebook to buy. They join Facebook to communicate with each other and interact. So what I do, I take the subject matter of the business niche that you're in. I search for groups in Facebook, and I join those groups. It might take you 2 hours a day, but you might say, I'm not spending that time, but it's time that will pay dividends later on. So once you get to those groups, you look for the people that are making the boldest statements, that are getting all the comments, and you join in with commenting from them as soon as they post. So whoever posts after that sees your comment. Now, what happens is, when they realize that you know what you're talking about, because you're answering questions, you're posing questions, you're making posts, the best thing to do is comment on the expert post, not just thanks, that was great, but add something to the conversation, take it forward. What people will do is click on your name and go to your page to find out who you are. And that will get you a few people on your database straight away, because you've got followers. And then your call to action on your posts should be to go to the website to sign up for your newsletter, or you can have a link to your newsletter or to your email marketing system straight away. That's one way of building it online. The other is to do blog posts on your aforementioned website that capitalize on one subject per post. So if you're selling a widget, talk about an aspect of it, but just that and nothing else on your post. Google will pick up on the keywords, and when somebody types that in, send them to your website. And the more people that go to your website, the more appropriate and relevant you are, and the more it will send. Google doesn't rank websites, it ranks web pages. So that's where you can capitalize. If you've got a good article in you, or you can get somebody to write one for you, put it on there, because it pays dividends over time. It's a bit slower, bit of a slow process. Offline, go to networking groups where you just meet up with like-minded people with their own business. Don't try and sell anything, but rather, for example, I go to a networking group and they've got a brochure. It's a lovely brochure with the pictures of each person in, and it's got their email address in. And when they sign up to go to the networking group, it's on the condition that people can contact them using their email. Well, if you're starting a new business, you can grab all their emails, put them onto your email marketing system, and send out one email to them all, introducing yourself and offering them something, for free to get on your list. Now, I did it with New to Business in Bournemouth, which starts up again in March. That's free. You don't pay a penny. And yet I got 150 names from day one. Now, a few of those will unsubscribe, but what a way of boosting my database. And several of those have gone on to be clients in either a small way, or they've at least joined my list, so I can upsell them later. So that's how I would, if you've got no budget, low budget, then I would certainly say that's a good no cost, low cost way of getting people on your database. So at least you can start talking to people. Otherwise you're sat there saying, where's my next customer coming from? Or you place an ad in a magazine waiting for one person to say, I'm interested, I think, with magazine ads, unfortunately, now all you're doing is paying for the distribution and the printing because you don't know whether it works or not. When you advertise online, you only pay if they click your ad. So great way of getting the word out there. So
a question's just come in at the team. I'm starting on social media. How often should I post?
Every day. Post something every day, but don't just post any old junk. People know what clickbait is, and so if you ask, what does anybody think of this view? What a load of rubbish. Ask something sensible that's really going to drive the conversation, and if they can see you're genuine, they'll start liking and replying. Now, if you don't do it very often, once a week, people aren't going to wait for that, or people might miss it. Get it out there every day, twice a day, 3 times a day on social media. You can schedule these things, and there are programs where you can do 100 posts and line them up ready for scheduling, which is what we can do. But the best thing I find is when you live, get an idea and you type it in there, and it doesn't have to be long, but vary your posts as well. Make it from images, text, video, some interaction thing, but make sure every post has got a call to action. Don't just leave it, oh, I've read the post, that's it. Make sure that there's a link there that takes them somewhere, or a link in the comments that take them somewhere. Have something that takes it forward and nudges them into becoming your potential client.
Excellent. Lorraine has just commented that something she's had success with on LinkedIn is follow a person. She's on the most basic package, and she said people are curious about people that are interested in them. So I think that's one way that's becoming apparent on social media, isn't it? That following enough people.
So many people forget about LinkedIn, and it's very powerful, especially when you do go on the paid plan, because there's so much more you can do. But yes, if you follow somebody, what I notice is I don't go on LinkedIn very often for myself, but I do for clients and their thing. But what I find is when I do go on, the number of people reading my profile rockets. So just one interaction can make a difference. But yes, post on there regularly with links, with useful information, share stuff, comment on other people's. If somebody's a real authority on their subject to do with what you're doing, comment, get them buzzing. And if you do it every day, over time, it'll build up. It's the consistency that works. If people keep seeing you, in the end, they'll say, right, I'll reply and get in contact. I'll comment. I will connect with you. I will click that link in the email that joins up. And yes, well done, Lorraine. That is a great strategy.
Yeah. And I think Michael's saying, he said, especially when you're very interesting, laugh out loud. So I think, we all know Lorraine from when we interviewed, and I think her LinkedIn will definitely grab additional interest because of what she does and where she goes. But yeah, I think being interesting is the key. Like you said, having a valid, no one wants to know that you're eating chicken curry for dinner and you're in Tesco's buying it, you're right, add value, definitely. Brilliant. So how I think we've already covered this, but we've talked about how you started to build your customer base when you started your business, really. But just delve into that a little bit more about when you first got going. Obviously, times have changed, but if you were starting Marketing Bugle now, what would you do to start your customer base now? Well,
straight away, it's got to be online. If I had no money and an internet connection, I could probably do it. I would start definitely with email. Again, that's free. MailChimp is free for the first couple of thousand people, I think, something like that. There's a few freebies out there now anyway. But there are lots of free tools that get you going, and then you only start paying once you've reached a certain level. And you don't mind paying then because you're getting the income. Yeah. So I would look at affiliate offers. And what I mean by that is there's a website called clickbank.com, and they they sell books, they sell videos, they sell, well, all sorts of stuff, but books mainly, and things to do online. So you can become affiliated to them and you can sell them to your audience. And when you do, you don't have to advertise or anything apart from telling them. And then you'll get a commission for that. And it's huge. It's like 75% commission plus. And the reason it's so high is because the person that is made the, let's say it's an ebook course. So it's a course about a subject, and it's a multi-part, and they're selling that for say $100. You'll get, I say dollars because I deal predominantly online with American, but you'll get $75 back for that every time you sell one. Now, getting started is ideal by becoming an affiliate to all sorts of things. You can become an affiliate to Amazon.com.co.uk, where you advertise something on Amazon. Somebody clicks that link, Amazon will give you a commission for that. So you don't actually have to do anything bar tell people about it. So I've had web pages before about barbecue things, because they were quite expensive when they came out, these things, and I was getting a decent commission on them. But the good thing is, when they go to buy the barbecue, if they bought a 54-inch color TV at the same time, you'd also get commission on that. So even though you weren't advertising it. And so I started off by becoming affiliated with other people, and it's free to do so, you don't have to pay. So if you've got just one product and you haven't got anything else on the back end to sell them, what you can do is look for an affiliate product that is similar or complementary to what you're selling, and say to your email list, there could be 100 on your list or whatever, it could be thousands, and you say, oh, I've just read this book on Amazon. It's all about how to make your grass green in 5 days, and it stays green no matter how hot the sun, something like that. If you'd like to read it, click here. So click, they go to Amazon, they buy it, you get the commission. So you actually got extra things to sell to people, even though they're not yours. And people have done it with insurance. Say, yeah, right, okay, you're buying this. How would you like to an insurance? So they've been in touch with an insurance company, and they've said to them, if I sell plans, can you give me a percentage? Yes, they will. They're bound to. They're not going to say, no, we don't want any sales. So, but most people online have got an affiliate scheme built with it. Nearly everything's got an affiliate scheme, and the biggest is Amazon, and it's free to join.
Excellent. That's really good. I like that tip as well. And clickbank.com, I think we might have a few viewers going to have a look at that. So we did put it up just now. So let's have a look. So can you share, I mean, there's been lots of tips. I know that, Liz said earlier she was getting notes from this, and there's been so many tips that have come through. But just wondering, can you share 3 top tips when creating social media business page? So if someone's setting up their Facebook social media business page, what are the top 3 tips? Obviously, I think one's going to be have a link to the website. But what would be your top 3 tips with that?
I would say ensure you have plenty of content already in place, so that when new visitors come along, they're not going to see just 1 or 2 posts, which looks a bit naff. I think Sammy did that. She put a few posts on this group. So when you joined, there's something happening. Yeah. And again, you've got to have all the information that they could ever want right above the fold. And Facebook, for example, is designed like that. Post on a regular basis for definite. Be consistent, post regularly, answer questions while encouraging people to be interactive. If you don't ask them to be interactive, quite a few people will just lurk. They'll look, but won't do anything. If you've got a good group, people will talk to each other, and that forms the content. So you don't have to rush around finding content. They're making it for you with their conversation, as long as you're keeping an eye on what's being said. Because when the group grows big, you'll get somebody making a comment that upsets people and they get flamed, and you've got a little row going on. So you have to get an admin to keep control of that. I'm an admin of one particular site. It gets quite fiery, and it's full of lawyers and solicitors. So, and have a purpose for every post. What do you want it to achieve? Have a CTA, I'll call it, a call to action, like read my latest blog post, like you suggested there, view my new video, join my email list. ask a question that people can reply to, encouraging others to do the same. So there would be my 3 main, or 4 even, main things to do. Keep it active. Don't forget it. It's so easy to make a page and leave it for a few days or weeks even. And when you come back, there is just, dust blown around, virtual dust, nothing going on. You must look after it. And better than a page is a group, because pages are restricted too much. Groups, everybody gets notified when something goes on. Once they're there, you can do much more with a Facebook group than anything else. I know we keep on about Facebook, but that is by far the best platform I've found for promoting your business in this way, especially if you haven't got a high budget. But they are making it so, yeah, you're going to have to pay for ads at some time. But when you do, boy, what a difference it makes. You can turn just a few trickle of people coming to your site to tens of thousands. And the beauty is, if they don't sign up, you can retarget them and remarket them with another ad, encouraging them to come along, knowing that they're 100% interested because they already just clicked on your last ad. And then the conversion rate is much higher, and that your list will start to grow like gangbusters.
Yeah, brilliant. And the one thing that we have found, I think, that we've said with social media, and I know there have been some talks that actually is moving more towards this paid ad situation. The one thing that we found, and certainly have had people talk about before, is that when you pay for ads on Facebook and on social media, after the ad is finished, there can be a tendency that your views and people seeing that page and seeing that group tends to drop. So you then have to pay for another one to bring it back up. And what are your thoughts around that?
Right, the secret of running ads is, if you design an ad and put it out there, people say advertise and pay per click online doesn't work. That's because they're doing it wrong. What I do, I put out 6 ads at the same time. It's the same ad, but with slight variations. So I vary the title, the image, maybe the color, maybe a sentence. Something in it is different from the last. So I run 6. All 6 go out, and they all get shown evenly to the same amount of people. Not the same people, the same amount of people. So the reach is going to be whatever your target audience are going to be. But Facebook will automatically show the best ad, the one that gets the best conversions, the best click-throughs, to your audience. So what you do, you take that ad and you get rid of the other 5 and do 5 similar to the one that's won, the one that's getting the most clicks. And you'll find that it's normally the same one wins again, but sometimes another one does. Ultimately, after doing this, what is called split testing, after you've done that, there will be one ad that works every time. That's what you put the big bucks into. Then you watch the difference. Now, you'd be silly to stop the ad then, because it's bringing you in so many people and obviously sales down the line. So you keep that ad running, you rinse and repeat. And so long as it's getting that many conversions, you just keep it running. And it can do several months without you touching it, and it will run. And yes, your click-through rate and your views and your likes will go up naturally because your ad's everywhere. And of course, they click and it takes you there. Facebook do reward you if you put a good ad out, and they actually make it cheaper. We got them video posts down to a penny a click, which was, it's quite hard to do nowadays, but that's how good our ads were. I was running ads for 29 companies, and they were all successful to certain levels. And if they weren't, you can tell to the click where it's going wrong. So if they click on your ad, they land on your landing page, but don't sign up. Why aren't they signing up? Find out, look at your landing page, see if the wording's right, see if the form's working. Is there anything going wrong? And that is the beauty. You can measure every click. And if you can measure it, you can make money out of it.
Excellent. Lorraine has said, could you give us a couple of examples of questions that we could use? I think that goes back to something we were talking about previously. Just trying to, just having a mind block and thinking. But Martin, if you're, is there anything particular questions that you're thinking of that Lorraine could use? Can you give her some examples?
Well, if it's got to be to do with your niche. The people that are on your page or they've joined your email list because they're interested. As soon as you vary off of that, and it's tempting to do so sometimes just because you want to post something different, you'll lose them. They'll unsubscribe from your list, or they'll not bother visiting, or they'll unlike you or whatever. So first of all, you've got to think, what will my audience like to be involved with? So you could say, to do with Marketing Bugle, who uses video in their marketing? Well, the person that uses video will want to tell you about it because he's there. It's 100% with you. He said, "Oh, I do." Or you could say, "Who uses video, and what's the benefits?" And then when the benefit comes up, you've got something else saying, "Oh, I didn't know it did that. Oh, I might try video." And then you could say, "Is it expensive doing video?" Not anymore. You can do it for free on online now. It's basic stuff, but it can work for a post. Ask anything that'll get them buzzing. So what would make you buzz about your own business if you went to a talk or presentation or something? What would get you buzzing? What would you want to know? What would you like to be asked? And you become the boss. So you say, okay, on my website and on my posts, I'll be asking those questions. And once you get it buzzing, the comments got longer and longer and longer. And of course, Facebook loves that. So your reach increases. The next time you post, it'll go out to more people because more people have interacted. The best thing you can ever do is not just like, but comment on a post, not just "that was great, thanks." Take it forward, say, "That was great because when I was doing it, this happened." You get something moving forward. Facebook notices that. It's got an algorithm that notices it, and your reach will go higher and higher and higher. So ask questions that would give you a buzz. I can't say specific ones because I'm not in your niche, but anything that would get a reaction, but not like, "Oh, I'm thinking of buying a house. What do you think of this?" That doesn't work. It's got to be something really hard edged to do with your business, and get them going. Some people use money. They say, "Oh, I made £500 yesterday. Do you want to know how?" Do with the niche, and somebody's, how? Yes, tell me, PM me, and all that. And you say, "Well, this is how I did it, and it didn't cost me anything." And they tell you. You've got to be genuine. You can't just trick them. And so long as there's something going on, your Facebook accounts will get more and more likes, more and more views. People will come back more often, and there's on the right hand side, it says invite members. They'll start inviting people, and of course, recommendation, strongest thing ever.
Yeah, definitely. Lorraine has said thanks. That really helped. So I think we've covered what she was looking for in that one. So I think the final thing just to put to you is knowing what you know now from your journey. If you were to travel back to the you starting out, what would you say? What would be your best advice to yourself?
Right. As we started, charge what your service is truly worth. Most people I speak to at networking events are undercharging by far, and you cannot survive in business. Ask for the sale. Always ask for the sale. It's so easy to get wrapped up in your own chat that you don't bother and you forget. Never discount or devalue your product. Just add value. Remove all the negatives from your mind, as I said, and replace them. You must replace them with positives. Don't ever look positive to get the sale. Don't ever look, desperate to because people, their subconscious can see that you're desperate. "Oh, okay, I'll do it for £45. Is that okay? I can do it cheaper if you like. I can do it more often." And it just looks bad. Do it. I would say, if they're not going to buy from you, sometimes you just need to move on. You know you're not going to get it, so don't get hung up about it. It's I know that I don't like saying it's a numbers game, but sometimes the more people you go with your expertise, the more chance you've got of converting somebody anyway. So I would also say use continuity payments, build a list of potential customers every time. That list, without a list, you're not in business. You've got to have that list via email marketing, and work with them. And it's cheaper and much more effective than any other strategy in the long run. Email marketing to the right audience, it can be your business. One email out to your list can bring you in an awful lot of money.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, I think that has covered everything. Obviously, it's still open at the moment. If anyone's got any comments, wants to share any value, add any final thoughts or questions, then you are more than welcome to. So please pop questions and final thoughts into the comments and let us know what your biggest takeaway has been today so far. Let us know what value you're getting and that you're getting value from it. But I think we've had a great session today. Just want to share your contact details again, Martin. So we've got marketingbugle.co.uk as the website.
Yeah, I'm here all week. I'm here all week.
Excellent. Yeah, he's there all week. And we've got Martin at marketingbugle.co.uk as well. So if you want to email, if you've got any questions for us at the charity, obviously you've got Sam at samee.co.uk, and you've also got Ricky at samee.co.uk. Oh, we've got some comments coming in. Yeah, so Lorraine is saying phenomenal session. Thanks ever so much.
Thank you, Lorraine.
Liz has got a question. I don't think we've covered that, so I'm just going to check. How do I find interesting to post? How do I find interesting things to post? Have trouble finding different things of interest. So what's the suggestion? I know we mentioned about ClickBank and affiliate marketing there. So there's the affiliate stuff through ClickBank that you can do. But how do you find the interesting post to post?
Yeah, what I do, I tend to associate anything that's going on. If something's in the world is causing a buzz or creating a buzz, then I associate with it. So you look at anniversaries, look at world news, look at trends that are going on, and associate them with your business. So in my case, if something happened, which it has done during the pandemic, and that's the first time we've mentioned that word, then I could say, I've actually got one here. I've made a book, and I did a book, what you could do during the pandemic. And so I did a post about you could get this book for free when you join my list. So straight away, I did a research online. Look, have you ever heard of Google Trends?
Yeah.
Yeah, just type in your subject matter to Google Trends and see what comes up and see what's trending, even if it's only a little bit, and you can write about it. Look for other articles that are promoting your business indirectly because they say something good about it. I did a wonderful one with solar energy, solar panels. Somebody really praised the technology, and one of my clients is a huge solar panel company. So I took the article, put it on their blog and linked to it, and it got loads of views and buzz interest. So yes, it's research, and it does take time to research, but you find all sorts of things. You can make something out of a sentence. You can just pull something out of it and turn it around. One of my clients makes a video or 2 videos every week. They're only a couple of minutes long, based on just a quick thing. And I put it out on YouTube live streaming, and then it gets put on a YouTube channel. She's got a whole list of them, but they're all fascinating. They're all things you think, well, yeah, that's a good point. And so all she does is just look around at what's happening. So with the internet, as your main tool, typing in to search engines and finding things, you'll notice there's an autocomplete. So if you type something in on the address bar, other suggestions will come below. You can actually get software that finds it all for you, but in its simplest form, you type in your subject, and what people are actually typing in comes below. You can take that and then put them in as questions and then get answers, and there's all the content you ever need. Just put an image with it, put a short video with it. Video, if you're not using video, use it. It magnifies your output by 800%. The interaction is fantastic. And so finding content is fun. I have got software that will automatically do it for me, where I put in a question or subject matter, and it comes back with hundreds of ideas from around the internet, and I just make up things from it, put it on my website. Another thing you can do if you're good at talking, I'm no good at talking. If you are, do a podcast and then take the script from the podcast and put it under the audio on your website, because you get a double thing. Then people can listen to it if they haven't got time to read while they're doing something else. And also Google ranks you for all the keywords you've got in the conversation on your podcast. So do a video like this, stand in front of your webcam or your iPhone, whatever, and then just do a little talk, put that up there, go live with it. If you don't want to go live with it, pre-record it and send it out on a live stream separately, so you haven't got to worry about the technical issues. There's all sorts of things you can do for posts, but vary them. Do some funny ones, do some serious stuff, but each one must have a call to action where you say, do this, go there, answer this. You've got to promote your business in every single item, otherwise it's pointless.
Yeah. Brilliant. Martin, thank you ever so much. That's been a great session this week. I know there's been loads of value from it, and I'm sure we shall have more people watching later. If we get any questions, obviously we'll send them through, but people have seen your contact details in here as well. So if anyone has got any questions about digital marketing, then Martin is the person to drop an email through to, and you can test the fun and interactive emails that are going to come back as well with the bits and pieces he puts in there. So it's been brilliant to talk to you. Thank you ever so much. And
sign up to my newsletter, by the way, because you get a monthly magazine about marketing. It's very simple and basic, but it's good. And just go to the website and you can sign up from the front page. It's
wonderful.
Free.
Wonderful. So there you are. So there's a magazine all about marketing as well included if you sign up. So that's brilliant. Okay, thank you ever so much, everyone. Thank you, Martin. Michael saying thank you, Martin, as well. So there's a few people that are coming on. They'll start to filter through the comments now. Liz says thanks for that, very helpful. So it's been great. Thank you ever so much, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.